Welcome to the Cozy Storytime, your peaceful space to unwind and relax. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and like the video for more cozy stories airing every night. So, where are you watching it from? And what are you doing right now? I hope you enjoyed this story. Tonight, let the gentle rhythm of rain carry your thoughts to a quiet corner of a sleepy city, where mysteries linger beneath umbrellas and echoes of forgotten voices whisper through fogged windows. As the world outside softens and slows, this is your moment to breathe deeply, to settle in, and to let go of everything that came before today. No need to rush, no need to worry. Just you, the sound of my voice, and a story woven gently through the stillness of night. Let the weight of the day melt away like morning mist. Close your eyes if you wish, or keep them open, watching the shadows dance on the ceiling as each word leads you further into calm. We're about to follow the footsteps of someone just like you, someone who stumbled upon something strange and beautiful on a rainy evening. A quiet adventure, not of danger or chase, but of listening closely and seeing clearly in a world that often hides its secrets in plain sight. In this story, wonder doesn't shout, it hums. It waits in silence, and tonight, it's waiting for you. So tuck yourself in, make yourself warm, and let your thoughts drift like leaves on water. This is not a tale of sharp turns or loud voices. It's a slow walk beneath dim street lamps, a gentle unraveling of memory and mystery. It's a bedtime story wrapped in fog and curiosity, set in a world where an old umbrella might just hold the past in its hollow handle. Each chapter flows like rain on window panes, soft and persistent, with just enough rhythm to ease your breath into stillness. There's no need to understand everything right away. This is the kind of story you feel more than follow, where the quiet moments say the most, and the spaces between words invite your imagination to rest and wander. As we begin our journey into the forgotten umbrella, allow the soundscape in your mind to bloom gently. Picture the soft patter of rain on empty streets, the golden glow of a distant street lamp, and the warmth of a coat wrapped tightly around you as you step out into a night that feels full of secrets. Let your thoughts slow with every syllable, your heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of a story, meant not just to entertain, but to comfort. There's a mystery ahead, but it doesn't ask for fear, only for stillness, attention, and a willingness to follow a thread woven long ago. Now, take a deep breath. You're safe, you're warm, and the story is ready to begin. You didn't plan to be out this late. The streets were never kind after dusk, especially under the quiet sorrow of a steady drizzle. Each droplet struck the pavement with a rhythm, like an old record playing far away. Soft, persistent, nostalgic. Your sneakers made no sound as you walked, their soles soaked and soft against the slick asphalt. Lights blurred through the mist, neon signs melting into puddles, their reflections winking like secrets. You passed shops that had long closed, their windows dark like eyes shut tight. The wind whispered around corners, not cold, but thoughtful, like it was remembering something it couldn't quite say aloud. And then, as you turned a familiar street, one that always smelled faintly of coffee and forgotten rain, you saw it, an old wooden bus shelter, sagging slightly under the weight of age and weather, standing like a quiet witness to time. You ducked beneath its roof without a second thought. The awning was just enough to block the mist, and for a moment, you let your breath settle, your eyes adjusting to the softer light. The shelter was empty. No bus schedule, no advertisements, not even graffiti. Just the echo of raindrops on the roof and the silence that seemed too still to be natural. Then you saw it, tucked in the corner of the bench, like it had always been there, was a black umbrella. It wasn't opened, just resting there quietly, leaning slightly like it was tired. Its fabric was worn but intact, the metal spokes barely visible through thin material, and its wooden handle was dark with age, almost polished from years of use. You glanced around. No one, no movement, not even the flicker of a passing car. You waited a moment, maybe out of politeness or the strange sense that someone might appear and reclaim it. But the world remained still. Rain fell in long silver lines beyond the shelter, and the umbrella stayed right where it was. You stepped closer, drawn not by need but by curiosity. There was something strange about it. Not spooky, but significant, as if it had been left for someone. For you. You picked it up. It was heavier than you expected. Not just physically, but in its presence. The kind of heaviness that stories have, or memories. Its handle was smooth, cool to the touch, and for a moment you thought you saw initials carved faintly into the wood, though the lighting made them hard to read. There was a quiet sense of invitation about the object, an urge, soft but steady, that whispered, "This is more than what it seems." Holding it changed the air somehow. The rain didn't feel the same. It sounded closer, like it had shifted around you in recognition. You turned the umbrella slowly in your hands. The tip scratched gently against the floor. It was perfectly ordinary at first glance, but the more you studied it, the more you felt that it wasn't meant to be forgotten. It had the kind of presence that belonged in a coat room with brass hooks, beside a ticking clock and an unfinished letter. It belonged in stories, and now it was here, with you. You considered leaving it, maybe propping it back against the wall for someone else to find, but something told you it wouldn't be right, that if you left it, you'd be leaving something else behind too. Something you didn't quite understand yet. You sat down on the bench, the umbrella resting across your lap. The rain kept falling, slow and meditative. The world around you melted into softness. Maybe it was just the evening, or the sound of water, or the way the clouds seemed to blur the street lamps into halos. But you didn't feel alone. Not exactly. You felt watched. Not in a threatening way, but like the city itself was waiting for what you'd do next. The umbrella was quiet in your hands but insistent, and in that quiet moment, something clicked in your mind. You realized this wasn't just a misplaced object. It had been waiting, all this time, at this forgotten corner, under a shelter whose name no one remembered. It was meant to be found, and you were meant to find it. You didn't rush. You let the rain wash the city outside, let it turn the night into a calm blur. The sky was a dull pewter grey, though the time was likely past dinner. You stared at the umbrella again, studying its seams, its age. There was a sadness to it, a kind of longing that clung to the fabric like old perfume. It was an umbrella that remembered things. You could feel it in your fingertips. This wasn't just an item. It was a message. And somehow, you already knew. The story had just begun. You turned the umbrella slowly in your hands again, letting your fingers trace its smooth wooden handle. There's something satisfying about the way it fits in your grip. like it was made not just for anyone but for you. The wood is dark and weathered, with a subtle pattern of grain running through it, like old rivers on a faded map. The brass cap at the end of the handle catches what little light there is, glinting like a secret. You pause for a moment, narrowing your eyes. Something about the way the handle feels beneath your fingers is off. Not wrong exactly, just unusual. There's a slight give when you press a thumb into a particular groove near the base, as if the wood isn't one solid piece, as if it's hiding something. You sit up straighter on the bench, shifting the umbrella to examine it more closely. Your thumb moves over the groove again, slower this time, and now you notice it. A barely visible seam, a perfect circle etched around the brass end. Carefully, almost reverently, you twist. There's resistance at first, but then a soft click, the kind of sound that only secrets make when they're ready to be found. The base of the handle loosens and unscrews, revealing a hollow compartment within the umbrella's core. Inside, tightly rolled and sealed with an old leather strap, is a piece of paper, dry despite the moisture in the air. It's yellowed at the edges, soft and frayed, yet clearly preserved with care. Something tells you that whatever is written inside hasn't been read in a very long time. Your breath catches a little as you slide the paper out. The rain outside fades further into the background. You forget the bus you weren't really waiting for, the hour, even the world. Everything narrows to this moment, this old umbrella and the fragile weight in your hands. You slowly unroll the paper. At first, it's difficult to read. The ink has faded in places, and the handwriting is hurried, uneven. But your eyes adjust, and soon, you begin to make out the words. It's a note, written in an elegant slanted script, with a mixture of calm and panic woven into every curve of every letter. There's no greeting, no date, just the message, as if its urgency had left no room for formalities. If you found this, then I'm already too late. It begins. You blink once, the rain suddenly sounding louder against the shelter's roof. I had no choice but to hide the truth. They were watching me. I couldn't trust anyone, not even the ones closest to me. You pause, reading over that line again, feeling the weight behind the words. This wasn't a prank. This wasn't an accident. This umbrella, this message, it was all left behind deliberately. Your fingers grip the paper a little tighter as you continue reading. The umbrella is the key. Don't let it fall into the wrong hands. Inside, you'll find a map. Follow it. And if you find the place, don't go alone. What I left behind is not just mine anymore. You take a breath and lower the paper, only for your eyes to fall on the second item tucked into the compartment. Beneath where the note had been rolled up, there's another piece of parchment. A map, folded into tight, precise squares. You pull it out with care, heart beating a little faster now. The paper is older, its surface slightly stiff. It opens with a whisper, revealing faded lines drawn in black ink. It's not a street map, not anything official. It's hand-drawn, marked with tiny notes in the same sharp handwriting. You recognize the general layout. This is your city, but not quite how it looks today. The buildings are wrong in places, and several locations are circled. One in particular is marked with a tiny X, labeled in smudged ink. Elder Park Bench, West Path. A red line snakes from the edge of the map to the X, like a trail someone hoped you'd follow. Your fingers linger on the spot. You've heard of Elder Park. It's not far, though people don't go there anymore. The city stopped maintaining it years ago. Trees overgrew the paths, the fountains dried up, and benches crumbled into mossy silence. You try to recall the last time you even saw someone mention it. It's the kind of place that slowly vanishes without anyone noticing. First from schedules, then from memory. But clearly, someone remembered. Someone who trusted this umbrella more than any person. Who chose secrecy over safety. You look back at the note and feel its final lines pressing against you. You were meant to find this. If anyone can finish what I couldn't, it's you. You sit there for a long moment, watching the rain, the map now resting in your lap. There's a stillness in the air that feels expectant, like the city is holding its breath. Everything around you seems quieter now, not in volume, but in energy, like the past has seeped into the present and is waiting for you to notice. You run a finger along the edge of the paper, thinking you didn't come out tonight to uncover someone's forgotten desperation. But now that you have, you can't just put it away. You can't toss the umbrella back in the corner and pretend it's just another lost object in a city full of them. No, this story has touched you already, and part of it is now yours. You fold the papers carefully and slide them back into the hollow compartment, twisting the brass cap shut until it clicks softly again. The umbrella feels heavier now, but not burdensome. It's as if the secrets it holds are resting inside you too. Outside the shelter, the rain begins to ease, the storm giving way to a calm hush that blankets the street like a sigh. You stand, umbrella in hand, and glance once more at the empty bench. You don't know who wrote the message, or what exactly you're supposed to find at that old park. But you know this. The forgotten umbrella was never truly forgotten. It was waiting for someone. And tonight, in the quiet rhythm of the rain, it chose you. You take the umbrella home with you, walking beneath its canopy through the soft whisper of drizzle that hasn't quite given up. Each step seems to echo more deeply than usual, as if the pavement beneath your feet remembers something you don't. The streets are quieter now. Lights glow behind windows, hazy with condensation. But inside, people are already far away, curled under blankets, whispering goodnights, lost in television static or the warm blur of dreams. You're the only one still outside, following a silent thread that you didn't know had been tied around your wrist long ago. When you reach your front door, the umbrella doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like a question you haven't yet asked, and part of you wonders if it has more to say. Inside your room, the air is still and warm. You place the umbrella gently on your desk, next to the small lamp that casts a soft, amber circle of light across your notes and half-read books. You unscrew the handle again with ease now, like the umbrella knows it's safe with you. The paper unfurls with a familiar sigh. You reread the note slowly, as if hoping the words will change or offer something new. They don't, but their weight is clearer this time. If you found this, then I'm already too late. There's a finality in that sentence that makes your chest ache just slightly. Not fear, just that subtle melancholy realization that someone once poured everything they had into a message meant to outlast their presence. Someone who trusted that a stranger might care enough to follow it through. Your eyes linger on the ink, tracing the curves of the letters. The writing grows shakier near the end, like the person was running out of time, or maybe courage. Don't go alone, it says. That part sticks in your mind like a thorn. Not just a warning, but a plea. You wonder what kind of danger could be hiding in an old park, beneath the rain and undergrowth. Or perhaps the danger had already passed, and what's left now is only its memory. But still, the warning is there, firm and urgent. You flip the note over, looking for more, but it's blank. No signature beyond the single looping initial, L. That alone is frustrating. A whole life compressed into a letter. Who was L? Why hide something in an umbrella? Why trust it to time and weather and the kindness of a future stranger? The map offers no further clues, just the hand-drawn pathways and small notes. Trees marked with X, benches numbered, arrows curling around a forgotten fountain. The line leading to Elder Park Bench, West Path, is thick, as if it had been drawn with a trembling hand or retraced several times in desperation. That spot wasn't just important, it was urgent. You trace the line again with your finger, wondering how long ago this was drawn. Months, years. The paper is worn, but not ancient. Someone tried to preserve it, which means they expected someone to find it. And maybe, just maybe, they believed you eventually would. That thought makes the room feel quieter somehow. The kind of silence that presses gently against your ears and chest, like the pause before music begins. You lean back in your chair, the rain now reduced to a soft ticking against the glass. You close your eyes for a moment, letting your mind drift. You see images you don't recognize. An old stone path half swallowed by ivy. A figure in a coat waiting on a bench that no longer exists. A child's laughter fading into leaves. None of them belong to you, but they arrive anyway, like echoes from a dream someone else had. You open your eyes again. There's something haunting about the idea of leaving a message behind, hoping it survives long enough to matter. You wonder how many notes like this are hidden in the world, tucked inside books, under floorboards, or beneath the fabric of forgotten umbrellas. You pick the note up one more time and study the handwriting. There's care in it, even in its panic. The loops of the G and the sharpness of the T feel familiar somehow, though you can't place why. It's not the style, but the feeling behind it. The way people write when they're afraid and alone, and yet still hopeful. That hope is what holds the words together. You can almost hear the writer's voice in your head. Not a clear voice, but a tone, gentle, worried, clinging to the idea that someone would care enough to listen, that someone would follow the trail. You set the note down and look again at the umbrella, folded neatly beside your lamp. Strange how something so simple could carry so much. You never really thought about umbrellas before, just tools to block the rain. But now you see it differently. It's not a shield, it's a vessel, a keeper of secrets. You reach for it again, holding it with both hands. The fabric is soft, slightly frayed along one edge. You run a thumb across it and feel a ridge beneath the surface. Curious, you press it. Nothing moves, but you sense the tiniest flutter of something beneath. Maybe it's just your imagination, or maybe this umbrella has more than one secret to tell. The hour is late, but you're not tired. The weight of the story you've uncovered keeps your mind gently alert, like a slow-burning candle. You don't feel rushed. This doesn't feel like a puzzle to be solved quickly. It's more like a memory to walk through carefully. You don't know who Elle was, or what they hoped you'd find. But you do know this. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, or if the rain stays, you'll go to Elder Park. You'll follow the map, step by step. Not because you're obligated, but because now the story is part of you, and you can't unknow it. You can't pretend you never found the umbrella, or that the letter never spoke to you. You leave the umbrella beside your bed, and for a while you lie awake, listening to the rain, as it slows to a quiet whisper. You imagine the world outside gently shifting, shadows moving across cracked stone, winds brushing through unvisited paths. Somewhere in the city, pieces of the past still wait to be found. But tonight, everything is still. The forgotten umbrella rests within reach, and the voice from the past has been heard. For now, that is enough. You close your eyes, letting sleep come slowly. The last thought in your mind not of fear or urgency, but of someone long ago, writing in the dark, trusting that someday someone like you would care enough to read. Morning arrives gently. The sky a soft grey curtain that mutes the edges of the world. There's no sunlight breaking through, just a cool haze that rolls across rooftops and lingers on windows like a memory that refuses to lift. The rain has stopped, but the air remains damp and still, as if the city is holding its breath. You rise without urgency, your movements slow, deliberate. The umbrella leans quietly by your door, its worn black fabric and polished handle almost expectant. It's strange how natural it feels now, carrying it with you, not as a tool, but as a companion, something that links your footsteps to a story deeper than your own. The streets are different in the morning. There's a gentler rhythm, even with the low hum of early cars and the distant clatter of delivery trucks. People move like ghosts, lost in thought or headphones, eyes glazed with routine. You're the only one walking with a destination not found on any map. Elder Park doesn't appear on your phone's GPS, and even the most recent city guide skips past it entirely. It's become one of those places that fade, not by design, but by collective forgetfulness. And yet, as you approach the older part of town, something inside you starts to hum, like recognition, or maybe a quiet memory being dusted off after years of silence. You reach the edge of Elder Park just before mid-morning. There's no gate, no sign. Just a crumbling stone path, half swallowed by creeping moss, and iron fencing coated in rust and ivy. Trees lean in close overhead, their branches brushing against one another like old friends sharing secrets. You step past the threshold and immediately feel the shift. The city noise doesn't follow you in. Even the breeze is different here. Slower, almost thoughtful. You follow the path laid out on the map, unfolding it one last time to orient yourself. It's hard to believe this map was drawn by hand. The details are uncannily accurate. A cracked bird bath here. A half-buried statue of a cherub there. Time has changed things, yes, but only gently. You reach the edge of Elder Park just before mid-morning. There's no gate, no sign. Just a crumbling stone path, half swallowed by creeping moss, and iron fencing coated in rust and ivy. Trees lean in close overhead, their branches brushing against one another like old friends sharing secrets. You step past the threshold and immediately feel the shift. The city noise does not follow you in. Even the breeze is different here, slower, almost thoughtful. You follow the path laid out on the map, unfolding it one last time to orient yourself. It's hard to believe this map was drawn by hand. The details are uncannily accurate. A cracked bird bath here. A half-buried statue of a cherub there. Time has changed things, yes, but only gently. As you walk, you notice how the world around you seems to lean in, listening. The trees aren't just growing, they're watching. The benches are no longer for resting, but for remembering. Each step forward feels like stepping deeper into a memory that isn't yours. You pass a fountain, dry and choked with leaves. A squirrel watches you from a branch, still as a carving. Somewhere deeper in the park, a bird calls out, but its voice sounds distant, like it's echoing through an old tunnel. The path forks just ahead, and you follow the map's red trail to the left, where the west path begins. The paper crinkles softly in your hand. You feel the weight of the umbrella in your other. Somehow, you know you're close. The west path is narrower, its stones uneven and hidden beneath layers of moss and forgotten years. The canopy overhead thickens, and the light dims until the day feels more like dusk again. It's quiet here. So quiet you can hear your own breath, the faint creak of your steps, and the soft rustle of leaves overhead. The map says you're nearly there. Elder Park Bench, West Park. You walk slowly now, each step deliberate, your heart beating just a little louder in your chest. And then, just around a slight bend in the trail, you see it, a weathered wooden bench, half sunken into the earth, its metal arms twisted with rust and vines. You stop a few steps away, the umbrella gripped gently in your hand. There's nothing remarkable about the bench at first glance. It's old, abandoned. The wood is splintered in places, one slat cracked completely through. But there's something about the air around it, thicker somehow, heavier, like time pools differently here. You walk closer and notice a strange indentation on the bench's surface, near the center slat. A groove, no bigger than your finger. It looks like it might match the tip of the umbrella. You kneel slowly, cautious but unafraid, and press the umbrella's tip into the groove. It fits perfectly. For a moment, nothing happens. Then you hear it, a soft, metallic click, followed by a hollow thump beneath the bench. You stand quickly, eyes scanning. On the ground just behind the bench, a patch of soil shifts. You kneel again and begin to clear it with your hands, brushing away layers of dead leaves and softened dirt. Beneath it, you find a small hatch, metal, square, rusted at the edges but still solid. A handle sits flush against it. You glance around the path, still empty, still silent. Even the birds seem to be holding their breath now. You pull the handle. The hatch creaks open on stiff hinges, revealing a shallow compartment beneath. Inside is a wooden box, worn smooth, its lid sealed with a delicate brass latch. You lift it out carefully, your fingers trembling slightly now, not from fear, but from awe. The box is lighter than you expect. You sit on the bench with it across your lap, the umbrella resting beside you like a silent sentinel. You undo the latch, and the lid opens with a whisper. Inside, there are several items: a faded photograph, a small silver key, and a sealed envelope marked with the same looping L you saw on the note. You pick up the photograph first. It's of two people, one tall, with a crooked smile, the other a child holding an umbrella identical to yours. The photo is old, but the emotion in it is clear. Protection, connection, a secret shared. Your throat tightens as you study it, feeling an echo stir in your chest. Then you open the envelope. Inside is another note, written in the same hand, though shakier now. "This is my final message," it reads. "If you're here, then you've already done what I could not. I hid the key to the lockbox at Pier 9, Locker 23. Inside it is everything. The real story, the reason I ran, the truth no one else believed. I had to disappear. But maybe now it's time for it all to be seen. Thank you, whoever you are." The note ends without a name. Just the letter, L, again. You read it twice, then fold it slowly, returning it to the envelope. Your eyes move to the silver key in the box. It's small, cold in your hand, but unmistakably important. You sit there for a while longer, the wooden box beside you, the umbrella resting against the bench. You watch the trees sway gently as if satisfied. The world around you feels fuller now, as though the silence is no longer waiting, but remembering. The path ahead is still uncertain, but the first thread has been pulled, and the rest of the story is ready to follow. You stand at last, box in one hand, umbrella in the other, and walk back down the west path. The bench fades behind you, but the weight of its story stays close. You don't know yet what you'll find at Pier 9, but one thing is clear. This mystery was never truly forgotten. It was only waiting for you. You arrive at Pier 9 under a sky that feels too still for morning. The clouds hang thick and unmoving, casting a dull silver hue over the harbour. The water below laps gently at the docks, but even the waves sound tired, as if echoing your quiet anticipation. The air is tinged with salt and rust, the unmistakable breath of old wood, oil, and long stories kept in damp corners. You carry the umbrella still, not for the weather, but for the comfort of its presence. The wooden box, now tucked securely in your backpack, bumps lightly against your back with each step. The small silver key rests in your pocket, cool and patient, like it's been waiting for this day far longer than you have. Pier 9 isn't busy this time of day. A few dock workers move in the distance, shoulders hunched and heads bowed against a wind that no longer bothers to carry rain. Small boats creak in their moorings, ropes taut and worn with age. The warehouses lining the pier stand tall and hollow, their windows clouded, their paint peeling. You follow the numbers along the rows of lockers embedded into the side wall of the main terminal. They're metal, painted navy blue once upon a time, now faded to slate with specks of orange rust. You pass 15, 16, 17, and then pause at 23. It looks just like the others, ordinary, forgotten, yet the sight of it makes your breath pause, just for a second. You kneel before the locker and reach into your pocket. The key slides out easily. Its weight feels heavier now, more than metal. It's the kind of weight that carries decisions, revelations, maybe even memories that aren't yours. You fit the key into the lock. There's resistance at first, as if the locker too had been asleep and needed time to wake up. Then, with a soft metallic click, the latch releases. You pull the door open slowly. Inside, tucked neatly against the steel walls, is a leather-bound journal. No dust, no mold, just the worn, softened corners of something often touched, often opened, and then carefully closed again. You lift it out with both hands. It smells faintly of old paper and something else, something harder to name. It smells like the past, the kind of scent that lingers in libraries, tucked between pages that have seen things no one talks about. The cover has no title, just a small embossed circle at the center. You run your fingers across it. Inside the circle are the initials LT. It clicks into place now, L from the notes. A full name hidden in 2 small letters. You open the journal slowly. The first page is dated nearly 20 years ago. The handwriting is the same. Sharp, slanted, emotional. You begin to read. I don't know how long I have left before they find me. If you're reading this, it means you've found the bench, the umbrella, the truth I buried piece by piece. I couldn't tell anyone, not the police, not my friends. They wouldn't have believed me, not after what happened at the observatory. Your eyes pause at the word. Observatory. You turn the page, breath slowing as the story unfolds. We were just kids, it continues, explorers in the dark. We found something in the telescope's basement. Not equipment, not papers, but a safe. And inside, files, recordings, diagrams of something, not from here. Your heart doesn't race. It doesn't need to. The calm in the writing is what truly unsettles you. Whoever LT was, they weren't writing with panic. They were writing with certainty. We should have left it alone, but curiosity is a kind of hunger. It doesn't go away when you're warned. It grows. The pages tell of surveillance that followed. Strange figures near their home. Letters that arrived opened. Friends disappearing. I couldn't let it reach the city, one page says. Whatever it was, it needed silence. It needed to stay buried. But they wanted to open it, to understand it. I couldn't let them. You read on, page after page, until the journal begins to speak directly to you again. That's why I left the umbrella. It was mine when I was a child. My father gave it to me. Told me it would always keep me safe. He didn't know how true that would be. I used it to carry what I couldn't hide elsewhere. That note, the map, the key. I hoped someone like me would find it one day. Someone who could finish what I couldn't. You close the journal for a moment, resting it in your lap. The umbrella leans quietly beside you, now far more than a shelter from the rain. It's a lineage, a legacy, an unspoken pact between the past and the present. You glance back into the locker. Something catches your eye at the very back. Another envelope, smaller than the one from the park, taped to the corner. You reach for it and gently peel it loose. Inside is a photo, black and white, blurred around the edges. It shows a telescope, tall, cylindrical, framed against the stars. In the bottom corner, faint and almost hidden, are the words, Observatory number 6, Black Hill Ridge. You flip the photo over. There, in the familiar looping scroll, is one more message. This is where it started. This is where it ends. You sit in silence for a long moment, listening to the creak of boats and the distant call of gulls. The locker door swings gently beside you, open now, as if waiting for your next move. You slide the journal and the photograph into your backpack. The key you keep. the umbrella you hold. The story hasn't finished unfolding, but for the first time, it feels real, tangible. You stand and close the locker slowly, pressing your palm to the cool metal before turning away. The pier stretches out behind you, the air growing quieter as you walk back toward the main road. You don't know what waits at Black Hill Ridge. You don't know who they are or what the files held. But the fear in the journal was real. The care in the message, the planning. It wasn't about hiding a secret forever. It was about passing it on safely. And now it's yours. As you step off the pier and back into the city, the umbrella nestled in your grip, the story continues not with thunder or panic, but with quiet resolve. Some truths don't arrive in storms. They arrive in soft rains, in old keys, and in voices that wait for someone to listen. The road to Black Hill Ridge winds slowly, like a memory tracing its way back through the folds of forgotten places. It begins in the city's last whispers of pavement, where concrete gives way to gravel and the streetlights stop trying to follow. As you drive, the landscape grows quieter, less shaped by hands and more by time. Trees thicken along the edges of the narrow path, and fog begins to settle between their trunks like an old secret. You keep the journal on the passenger seat beside you, open to the photograph of the observatory. The image is smudged and faded, but it draws your gaze as if it's waiting for you to recognize it. The umbrella leans in the back seat, still and unshaken, as though it too remembers this road. The drive is long but peaceful in its way. No other cars pass, no radio plays, just the hum of your tires over loose gravel and the soft rhythm of your breath. You don't know what you'll find at the observatory, Ichi, but the idea of finding feels different now. Less like discovery, more like returning. As if you've been moving toward this place not for days, but for years without knowing. The journal spoke of the telescope, of the files, of the things that weren't meant to be seen. Yet the voice in those pages wasn't one of fear. It was preparation. A guide left not to frighten, but to illuminate. You followed the trail, not as a stranger, but as someone it was meant for. A quiet inheritance passed through shadows. You reach Black Hill Ridge, just as dusk begins to settle. The sky wears a blanket of muted lavender, and the hills stretch wide, rolling like waves frozen mid-motion. At the peak of the tallest ridge stands the observatory. Its dome is cracked and speckled with moss, a rusted remnant of science left behind. You park at the edge of a clearing, the earth soft and silent beneath your steps. The air is cool and still, but not empty. There's a hush to it, like the kind you hear in old libraries or at the edge of dreams. You walk slowly up the path, each footfall muffled by fallen leaves. The building looms closer, not imposing but expectant, its single round window watching you like a curious eye. The door to the observatory stands half open, its hinges long since surrendered to time. You push it gently, and it creaks inward with the sound of surrender. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of paper, dust, and something faintly metallic. Shelves line the circular walls. Some collapsed, others still holding rows of notebooks and faded folders. The telescope itself rises from the center of the room, pointing skyward through a shattered panel in the dome. It looks less like a machine now, and more like a monument. You circle it slowly, your fingers trailing along its frame. Scratches and etchings mark the metal. Initials, symbols, a date. 2006. The year the journal's first entry was written. In the corner of the observatory, partially hidden behind a toppled shelf, is a narrow staircase spiraling downward. You remember the journal. The telescope's basement. The steps are wooden, groaning under your weight, but they hold. You descend into the earth, the light above growing dimmer with each turn, until you reach a small chamber lit only by the soft blue glow of a single emergency light, still clinging to life. The room is lined with filing cabinets, half rusted, their labels smudged. A desk stands at the center, and atop it, a locked metal box. The box is unassuming, grey about the size of a toolbox, but your breath catches when you see the symbol carved into its lid. The same circle from the journal's cover. You reach into your pocket and withdraw the silver key. It slips easily into the lock, as if this was always meant to be its final door. With a soft click, the box opens. Inside, there are photographs, diagrams, and pages so fragile you're almost afraid to touch them. You lift the first sheet carefully. It shows a star chart, but not of any sky you've seen. The constellations are wrong, and one area is circled in red ink, labelled only with 3 numbers, 14.822. A second page shows a cross-section of something organic? A structure built not from steel or wire but tissue. It looks like a nest or a seed, or perhaps both. Scribbled beneath the image are the words, "Not from here, still active, still growing." You continue through the contents in silence. The documents speak of signals received, not radio, but something deeper, older. Vibrations beneath the earth, patterns in water, flickers in the air that machines could not explain, but did not stop recording. The journal had only hinted at it, but here the truth is laid bare. They discovered something alive, too, buried deep beneath the observatory. It was never studied publicly. It was hidden, kept secret under layers of bureaucracy and fear. But LT had found it, and LT had tried to stop it from being awakened. That's why the observatory was shut down, not due to funding or weather, but containment. Then, at the bottom of the box, you find a final note. It's not written on government paper or typed in code. It's handwritten, addressed not to you, but to a person named Ellis. If you ever come back, don't go below the 3rd door. It pulses now. It reacts to sound, to light. I don't know how long it's been awake, but it knows when someone is near. I've done what I can to seal it. But if you're reading this, it means I've failed. Don't listen to it. Don't believe what it shows you. Burn this. Burn all of it. I'm sorry. No signature. Just those words, trembling at the edges. You sit for a long time in the quiet, the umbrella resting across your knees, the final note still open in your hand. The chamber doesn't feel threatening, but it does feel alive. A low hum vibrates faintly through the floor, barely there, like a breath, waiting to become a word. You don't move. Not yet. The documents remain spread across the table, silent in their revelations. The truth wasn't a scream or a siren. It was a whisper, buried beneath years and paper and silence. And now you hold it, the final piece waiting not to be solved, but to be understood. You gather the papers carefully, returning them to the box. You do not descend to the 3rd door. You do not test the warning. Some truths, even when discovered, are meant to remain respectfully distant. The umbrella is heavier now in your hand, not with rainwater, but with the weight of stories, those of others, and now your own, as you climb the stairs and step once more into the dusk. The wind picks up slightly, brushing your cheek like a farewell. You leave Black Hill Ridge under a sky preparing to cry. The clouds above stretch long and low, grey as wet slate, and they pulse with a tension you can feel in your skin. The road back to town seems shorter now, as though the miles have folded upon themselves. Your thoughts are quiet but not still, like a pond stirred by a slow breeze. The journal rests closed in your bag, its final page still echoing in your mind. You did not go further. You did not awaken what lay sleeping. And in that restraint, there is peace. A soft kind of peace that comes not from answers, but from knowing what not to disturb. Some mysteries are not puzzles to be solved. They are thresholds to stand before, respectfully. The first drops of rain begin just as the lights of the town bloom on the horizon. Not a storm, not a downpour, just a steady hush, as though the sky itself is whispering a lullaby. You roll down your window slightly and let the cool air fill the car, bringing with it the scent of wet asphalt and pine. The umbrella rests across the passenger seat now, dry for the first time in days. It no longer feels like just a tool or a clue. It's something more. A relic, a companion. It belonged to someone who saw too much, who feared too much, and who, despite that fear, left a trail behind for someone like you to follow. You do not know who LT truly was, but you feel close to them now, as if the rain carries their voice still. When you arrive back at the city's edge, everything feels softer. The noise of life is cushioned by the rain, the traffic lights blinking sleepily in the mist. You don't drive home immediately. Instead, you park near the old bus stop where this all began. The bench still waits, empty under the flickering street lamp. The world around it has shifted, subtly, like an image viewed once through a lens, and now with bare eyes. You step out, umbrella in hand, and sit. The wood creaks softly beneath you, a familiar sound. You close your eyes for a moment and listen, to the rain, to the hum of passing cars, to your own breath. It all feels different now, not because it's changed, but because you have. You open the umbrella, not because you need shelter, but because it deserves to be opened, to breathe. Its canopy blooms like a memory reborn, dark and simple, yet deeply alive. You tilt it slightly and watch the raindrops tap against it, gentle percussion, like fingertips on a drum. And then you do something unexpected. You set the umbrella down, lean it against the bench. You leave it, not carelessly, but deliberately, the way you would leave a note for someone else to find. Because maybe someone else will. Maybe another set of curious eyes will see it and wonder. Maybe they'll need it more than you do. You've followed your thread, and now it's time for another to begin. Your fingers brush against the journal's leather cover one last time before tucking it deep into your backpack. You rise from the bench slowly, your limbs relaxed, your heart neither heavy nor light, but whole. There's a feeling growing in you that's hard to name. Not closure, not exactly, but something near it. A sense that not all endings need to be final. Some are simply pauses, moments to breathe before the next mystery takes shape. You glance once more at the umbrella, black and still beneath the streetlight, and then turn away. You walk back through the rain, not hurried, not afraid, just present, just you. Days pass. The rain continues, off and on, but you no longer notice it with the same alertness. It's become part of the rhythm of the things. You return to your life, your routines, but there is something different in the way you move. You listen more closely now, to stories, to silences. You've started to carry a small notebook, sketching maps, or writing thoughts, not because you expect to find another secret, but because you understand now how the smallest detail can lead to the biggest journey. And sometimes you catch yourself looking at storm drains or cracks in the sidewalk, wondering if something lives beneath, just waiting for the right gaze to find it. One evening, walking home past the library, you glance up and see a figure sitting at the old bench, their hunched slightly, a hood pulled over their head, the familiar shape of the umbrella propped beside them. Your heart doesn't leap, it softens. You don't approach, you don't interrupt, you just watch as they reach toward the umbrella, slowly, reverently, like someone touching a memory. And then they open it. The canopy unfolds in the quiet, blooming in the rain. You smile, just slightly, and continue walking. The story has moved on, and you are no longer its only keeper. In time, the journal may find another reader. The observatory may be discovered by someone else brave or foolish enough to descend further. But for now, the rain keeps its rhythm, soft and ceaseless, and the world turns on. You sleep more easily these days, knowing that some mysteries are meant not to be solved, but to be shared in pieces, left behind like breadcrumbs on a rainy path. The umbrella remains there, or perhaps it moves. Maybe it waits at another bench tomorrow, or maybe it rests beside someone else's dolgoje. Its journey continues, quiet and gentle, like the rain that always follows. And you too continue. You wake, you breathe, you wonder, and every now and then, when a breeze carries the scent of wet earth and secrets, you think of the umbrella, you think of LT, you think of the observatory and the light that flickered so far beneath. You don't need all the answers to feel peace. Sometimes it's enough to know you were part of something, that you listened when no one else could hear, that you looked when others turned away, and that when the moment came, you carried the story forward, not with noise, not with fear, but with quiet, careful steps beneath the rain. Thank you for staying with me through tonight's journey. The rain has quieted now, the last drops settling softly on the windows of your imagination. You followed a path of forgotten voices and quiet revelations, and now the world around you feels just a little softer. Let your breathing slow, let your eyes grow heavier. You don't need to remember every detail, just the feeling it left behind. The warmth of an old umbrella held tight in your hands. The comfort of knowing that even in the quietest corners of the world, something meaningful can still wait to be found. You've wandered far, but you're exactly where you need to be. As you lie there now, perhaps already halfway into your dreams, remember that some stories don't need a loud ending. Some are meant to be felt in the stillness, carried with you gently into sleep. Maybe, in your dreams tonight, you'll return to that lonely bus stop, or wander again through the foggy path to the observatory, guided by memory, not fear. Wherever you go, let this story be your soft companion, a reminder that there's beauty in the unknown, and peace in simply being present with what is. You've earned this rest. Let it wash over you like the hush of rain at night. So until the next time we meet in another quiet place, under another sleepy sky, remember that the world holds more than what we see. Stories are waiting in forgotten corners, in folded maps, in the gentle curve of an umbrella left behind. And you are part of that wonder, simply by listening, by dreaming, by allowing your mind to drift and your heart to open. Good night, dear listener. Sleep well, sleep deep, and may your dreams be filled with quiet mysteries, gentle rains, and the kind of peace that stays with you long after the story ends.